was heading to bed early because I had work the next morning. I remembered that I had forgotten to wash the dishes. I went to the kitchen around 11:30 p.m. As I stood washing the dishes, I noticed a pot on the stove. When I turned to get it, I saw a dark shadow. I looked behind me, but there was nothing. I was puzzled but continued. When I turned back to get the pot again, the shadow reappeared. I focused on it to see if it would move, and it started coming closer. I quickly turned around, but there was nothing. When I went to grab the pot again, it wasn't in its place. I found it in the sink, even though I was sure I hadn't touched it. I told myself I must have moved it without remembering, finished up, and went to bed. The next day, I returned from work to find my husband home, which was unusual as he usually came home 2 hours after me. He was watching a soccer match, which surprised me since he never followed sports. He looked at me intently and asked, "Where are you going dressed like that?" I told him I was coming from work. He laughed and said, "Stop joking. The lunch was delicious today. Can I have a cup of tea from your lovely hands?" "Tea? You don't like tea. And what lunch? I haven't cooked yet. Stop joking." I went to the kitchen and everything was as I left it the previous day. Nothing had been touched. I came back to ask him who had prepared the lunch, but he wasn't there. The TV was off, and no one was in the apartment. I sat down in front of the TV, utterly bewildered. Moments later, he opened the apartment door and said, "Prepare lunch quickly. I'm going to wash my hands." I was frozen in place, unable to move. Who had been here just now? Then my phone rang. It was my husband's number. Why would he call me from inside the bathroom?
And he said, "Yes, dear, I'm on my way home. Do you need anything?" I was paralyzed, unable to move or respond. He kept saying hello until the line went dead. I forced myself to move and quietly approached the bathroom to see who was inside. It was empty. I searched the house and found no one. Then the doorbell rang. My heart pounded and I was terrified and confused. I looked for my phone but couldn't find it. Suddenly I heard it ringing in my hand. My husband was calling again and the doorbell kept ringing. A little girl's voice replied, "It's me, Auntie." I looked again and saw no one. Curiously, I opened the door slightly and found a beautiful little girl holding a covered tray, smiling at me. I asked her whom she was looking for. She said, "My mom sent you this tray of lasagna because you didn't cook today." Instinctively, I took the tray from her. It was very hot, so I quickly placed it on the table inside. When I turned to speak to the girl and ask who she was, and how she knew I hadn't cooked, she was gone. Then my husband called again. I answered, crying, and asked him to come home quickly. When he arrived, I was holding the Quran. He asked me what was wrong, and I told him to swear on the Quran that he was my husband. He was stunned and tried to calm me down. I insisted he swear first. He did, and I began to calm down and told him everything that had happened since I came home. He looked puzzled and said, "What girl brought you food? You cooked the pasta yesterday. Look, that's our tray."
I stared at the tray, shocked and confused. I hadn't cooked pasta in over a month. I swore it wasn't me. He said, "Don't swear." I woke up in the middle of the night to drink water and found you cooking and giving me a massage because my neck hurt. Me? Cooking and giving you a massage? I swear I washed the dishes and went to bed by midnight. You were already asleep. He said he woke up around 11:45 p.m. and saw me cooking. He was surprised I was still awake since I had work early. I stood there stunned, unable to believe I had done that. I wasn't crazy. Who was the little girl? Who was cooking in my house at night? I broke down in tears, terrified and confused. My husband comforted me, assuring me I wasn't crazy and trying to calm me down. He told me to rest and not go to work the next day. I slept until 7:30 a.m., then saw the little girl who brought the pasta sitting beside me on the bed, smiling. I was shocked and thought I was still dreaming. She said, "You slept a long time. Good morning. Get up for work." I screamed for my husband, who rushed in asking what was wrong. I told him about the girl and he laughed, saying, "That's Salma, the neighbor's daughter. She's adorable. I was worried about leaving you alone, so I left her with you." I asked if he was serious about leaving me alone after what happened. He insisted I was just exhausted and needed rest. The little girl stood there watching our conversation silently. I got out of bed and went to the bathroom to wash my face. She followed me in. "How did you get in here?" I asked, bewildered. A calm voice replied, "I brought you a towel." The door was open. Confused, I responded, "No, I closed it." But she insisted, "It was open, believe me, I was sure I said it was closed." Yet she persisted it was open. She then shifted the conversation to a heater, similar to one that caught fire in their old apartment. Curious, I asked where they lived before moving above us. Her answer sent chills down my spine. Here. Puzzled, I asked, here where? She casually dismissed it. Don't worry about it. Frustration building, I snapped. That's enough. She looked hurt and asked, why are you yelling at me? I didn't do anything. After calming down, I invited her to breakfast. She followed me to the kitchen, where I prepared breakfast, filled a glass of milk for her, and made myself some coffee. We sat down, but she didn't eat. Why aren't you eating? Don't you like the food? I inquired. She simply said, I've already eaten. Trying to be hospitable, I suggested, then drink the milk. But she refused. I don't like it. Looking for another topic, I asked, don't you have school? She replied, no, it's a holiday. Perplexed, I questioned, a holiday on a Tuesday? The conversation took a bizarre turn when she remarked, your husband is handsome. Taken aback, I could only muster, what? She brushed it off. Don't worry about it. Did you like the pasta? Confused, I pressed, who are you? She ignored my question. I asked if you liked the pasta. My mind raced back to a recent evening. Were you the one cooking pasta here the night before last? Her reply was unsettling. Yes, and I gave your husband a massage. Alarmed, I demanded, who are you and what are you doing in my house? Her response was chilling. You're the one staying in my house. You need to leave. I couldn't move. I tried with all my strength to get up, pushed the table, and ran to find my phone to call my husband. The phone rang, but I couldn't find it. The sound came from the kitchen. I moved slowly and then heard the front door slam. I saw no one. I ran to the kitchen, grabbed my phone, and called my husband. He told me not to move and that he was on his way. I smelled smoke and saw it coming from under the bathroom door. I opened it and found the bathroom on fire, with the little girl screaming for help. I opened the front door and screamed for help. The building's guard rushed up, asking what happened. I told him about the fire, but when we checked, everything was normal and the bathroom door was closed. I felt dizzy and the guard looked shocked. I asked him to call our upstairs neighbor, but he said no one lived there. Only we lived in the building. I was stunned. We had moved in 4 months ago, and the building was fully occupied. He insisted no one else lived there since the fire incident. The previous family and the guard had perished in a fire. How do you know this? I was the guard who burned with them. If you like this story, let me know in the comments. If not, let me know as well.